Welcome to the Creative Brew, helping you keep your creative juices brewing. We're giving out chunks of insight, motivation, and practicality for your creative journey. We've got some great partners with the Creative Brew. First of all, Panels, Comics and Coffee Bar here in beautiful Oceanside, California, right off of Mission Avenue. They've got some of the hottest graphic novels and comics out right now. They also have a wide assortment of merchandise, toys, as well as back issue vintage comic books, and that I'm sure has some hidden gems in there. If you mention the Creative Brew, you'll get 10% off of your next purchase. You can also check them out on social media at Panels Coffee or go to panelscoffee.com. My next partner is Elevate Coffee Trading, and if you appreciate specialty coffee, enjoy outdoor adventure, and love helping elevate the lives of children around the world, then you're going to love Elevate Coffee Trading. Their mission is to extract hope through love, coffee, and adventures. There's free shipping in the United States, and every bag of coffee helps sponsor health and education for children in coffee-producing countries and in areas of need in the United States. You can use promo code ELEVATE21 on your next order, and you can follow their journey on social media at Elevate Coffee Trading, or you can visit online at elevatecoffeetrading.com, and let's start extracting hope together. Another partner of mine is Astropad, and if you're a digital creator like me and you constantly use your iPad Pro, you can actually use Astropad to change your graphics tablet into another professional graphics tablet, so you can use Photoshop, full versions of Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, all your favorite programs right on your iPad Pro or graphics tablet. This has been an awesome tool for me because I'm always having to do some fine-tuning, editing, repainting, recoloring on various design projects or working on logos. Astropad is a huge asset for me. For teachers and students and educators, they actually have a great deal going on right now. This is an annual subscription, so it's a subscription app, but it's been a huge tool for me, and I don't know what I would do without Astropad. So you can check them out at Astropad app or go to astropad.com. And my last sponsor is the Cobo Pod. Cobo Pod is a boutique video and audio production studio based in Oceanside, California. And if you're a podcaster, vlogger, content creator, you should really come by and check out the venue for yourself. Anytime that I bring in a guest, they're amazed by the setup, amazed by the quality, the production value. Like I said, I think the Creative Brew just went up a notch. I actually went up incredible levels, partnering up with the Cobo Pod and been able to create, 4K video. Everything looks great. Even the photographer that we have on staff, I use a lot of their photography for branded assets for the Creative Brew, as well as the audio for my podcast and my radio show. So if you want to feel like booking your session, and maybe you're thinking about starting a podcast, or maybe heck, you want to just sit in one day. I'm doing a podcast, or I'm doing a show. Hey, come by, check it out. See the venue, see the setup, check out everybody. It's a great vibe here. But let's book your session today at kobopod.org. And another sponsor is Baba Coffee, that is here in here in Carlsbad, California. Great vibes, good coffee. I love the setup over there. They actually offer wine, coffee, dessert, food. I love the avocado toast over there. Check it out. That's one that I would recommend. And right now, they're actually every Sunday. And it's actually going on right now. Is they have live music and food trucks, I believe. So they'll have a chef there as well as live music. So come by, go by Baba Coffee, and they're there for a few hours. So they usually have some different entertainment every Sunday. So go by there, check it out. You can go to babacoffee.com. So I wanted to give a special shout out to my new sponsor for the show, Baba Coffee. And welcome to a new episode of the Creative Brew, giving you insights on your creative journey. today we have a new guest today. I've had the pleasure of meeting her over the past year and really, collaborating on different projects as far as with my Just Heart brand and helping her out with one of her clients. So it's been cool, starting to collaborate with different specialists, different individuals. That's maybe they're in another realm, and especially with her, she's in more of a social media marketing, branding, which I'm sort of in that realm too, but I tend to focus more towards other things with my profession as a designer. But I wanted to introduce Jaqueline Farkas, and great individual. Anytime I talk to her, she's always so calm and collective. I don't know. Being a parent, have you learned how to keep your head on straight, how to keep calm under fire?
Oh boy, that's a great question. Well, thank you. First off, thank you so much for having me. It's always a delight to connect with you. I remember when we first met, it was just a breath of fresh air, a breath of creativity, really, because that's what you're about. But yeah, let's go back to that parenthood. I don't know. It's definitely a work in progress. It's never really perfect. I think, it just takes time to really get accustomed to routines. I found routines really helpful for morning routines, night routines. But being a small business owner and a parent, there's a lot going on. But I've definitely felt grounded with mindset work. I got recently into that about a year ago.
Okay.
So that's really helped me kind of level out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, and I am a huge advocate, huge fan of mindset and personal development. And personally for me, like I said, I try my best to absorb a lot of the concepts that I hear from just various books, podcasts, anything that I hear. And so for you, I mean, I think, do you feel like, as far as you sort of investing in yourself to to be a better businesswoman, to be a better parent, do you feel like that's helped you out as far as even attracting certain clients or marketing, promoting yourself? Do you feel like investing in that personal development, do you feel like that's helped you out?
Oh yes, 100%. From the moment I even discovered a business coach recently, I feel like once you meet that person that really you connect with, and their energy level is almost mirroring yours, you just find and gravitate to them, and you want to learn more from, say it's a mentor or a business coach. You really want to connect on a deeper level and learn, and hand in hand with self-development. So I really truly believe it's beneficial, not just mentally, but physically, and being connected, all the way around. And I support it. There's different levels, of self-development. I feel like there's a beginner who may not know what business mindset work is, right?
Yeah.
And is just getting introduced to it. But I support 100% at any level.
That's
no
awesome.
matter your age, no matter your race, it doesn't matter. It's really about you and your journey.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I know when I started absorbing and really getting into a lot of books and a lot of content, and just things that I wanted to try to work on for myself, and bettering, and just figuring out ways to sort of develop myself. Honestly, I think I found myself being, attracted to other things, or things, or maybe opportunities coming to me, as far as what I'm trying to become, or even, like I said, podcast interviews or speaking opportunities and things like that. Honestly, I tell a lot of people I wouldn't have the opportunities that I have right now if I didn't have the courage to even create this show. And I think that's a testament for anyone. I mean, I know you have your own podcast too that you have going, and I think for anybody, anyone that hears this is, you have to have the courage and be willing to better yourself, to develop yourself, to learn new skills. this world is changing so fast. Society is changing every day, and you have to be willing to grow and to change as a creator, as an entrepreneur, as a human being, as a parent. You got to be willing to change and adapt and innovate and be creative, which is what the Creative Brew is about. Is learning to use creativity in any way or fashion. So coming back to you, Jaqueline, you focus in content strategy, branding for for small businesses. I think from what I've seen on your website, what you market, you usually tend to focus towards women entrepreneurs and business owners. Yeah. Do you feel like you've, and I know for a lot of people, it's always tricky trying to find that niche. Where do you fit in? Like, who do you resonate with? Do you feel like now you finally sort of found that little market to where, hey, this is the perfect fit for me? Or do you feel like yourself always sort of expanding and reaching out to other arenas?
Great question. To be honest, I recently, transitioned to more niche market of women in business, a lot because I could see the type of consumer I was attracting was more of the women in business, women entrepreneurs, rather than men. Some men would still approach me, but I believe my approach and the way I market myself was just speaking to women more. They would speak to me and kind of just gravitate towards me in conversation, on my website and so on. So I think it's all about who you attract also. That's like your sign from the universe, like, hey, maybe there's something more there, to really dig deep. And I have more on that about digging deeper. So I want to cover that today.
Well, go ahead and elaborate on that.
Yeah.
What do you feel? I mean, for you digging deeper. I mean, what? And I know that can be, explained in various terms. But you care to explain that?
Yeah. So kind of goes back to when even before I started, I've always been a creative at heart. Honestly, from when I was little. Not necessarily art and graphic like you do, but just very artistic minded, I guess you could say. In my teenage years, which is way back then, I was really into fashion design, fashion merchandising, not really the design, but more merchandising and personal styling. So, styling celebrities, and it was the whole thing back then. So that was my dream. And I didn't want to go to regular college. I was like, nope, this is my path. Years later, I find myself gravitating towards more of the creative side, that I wasn't always expressing, and I didn't have that freedom in some parts of college. I kind of just had to go with the flow and go with the class schedule. So, since then, I've felt like I have gravitated more towards the creative side. And, I always feel so passionate about keeping that creativity flowing, whether it's in my personal life or professional life, it just never seems to go away. I always seem to circle back, but not in the design sense, not always that I'm a graphic designer, but creativity, there's huge opportunity to really be authentic and yourself. Whether it's strategy, which is a lot of what I do, or marketing. And that's how I've kind of crafted this basically new business of mine that I'm able to be unique and different than other marketers out there. And that's really my uniqueness, shining through is it comes from the core of creativity.
Oh, that's great. I mean, I think once people sort of tap into that and they really figure out, I think that's the biggest thing for any entrepreneur, any creative, anybody just looking to try to create or build something. When you dig deep, when you really find out who you really are, that's when, and you let that light shine, that's when the magic happens. That's when the creativity happens. Just ideals pop up, is when you're working from that. And I know I've had glimpses of that. I try to make it a habit of sort of staying in that little realm there. But I know for a lot of creators, they've had those those flashes or those moments to where like this is where I'm supposed to be at right now. This is the wheelhouse. This is where I feel like I'm at my most authentic, my most creative self. And I think for a lot of people, it could be a lifelong journey trying to figure that out.
Yes.
So I'm glad you've starting to really figure out where you sort of fit in. What makes you happy. What fulfills you. As a creative, that's something that a lot of people are still looking for. So
it really is a lifelong journey, in my opinion. And to think back, even before I had my son, I wasn't necessarily in the happiest place because I didn't start my business at that time.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I started my business in probably the craziest times of the pandemic. I know, but I had that goal for such a long time. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to get this show on the road. I'm going to get started.
Yeah.
And here I am today, almost 2 years later. And I can't be more aligned with my goals, with my passions. Like, I never thought this was possible. I always thought of it as more of a dream, and I didn't even know if it was attainable. I just thought, okay, like I'm living my life. I have a family, and I have a job, but it was way more than just what I did for a living. What did I do for my family? It was about me.
Yeah.
And fulfilling my passion, which it can be tough. It's not an easy road. Entrepreneurship is a choice, and you kind of got to ride the waves. There's a lot of waves to ride, but don't give up, because then you find your greatness and you're able to, figure out how do you get, to the optimal place in your life. And I had a question about that. When did you start, or if you could remember and go back, when did you start really getting into self-development as an entrepreneur, or was it before?
Yeah, that's a good question. I had started, I had started this, with Langford Design. I started, back in 2020, probably 2007. I really didn't get into like personal development until probably about 2012, 2013. It's just one of those where I just started picking up books and just reading. And, obviously, it happens with everybody. You pick up one book and you find a concept or find another author or something like that. I'm like, who's this? And then you look for another book. Honestly, I still have my, shortcomings. I do dumb stuff daily.
Don't
even,
we all?
Yeah. Heck, even as a, husband, I've been married for years now. And, it's one of those where it's sort of funny. It's like I could do this podcast and, people are like, oh man, I love your podcast. And then I get around my wife sometimes and I'm like, sometimes like I don't know what to say. It's just one of those where I think now I used to be like, oh, why am I like this? And now I just sort of laugh at myself now. I'm like, you know what, that's who you are. I mean, you're still learning. Yeah. Like I said, I've got grandkids, I've got 2 sons, and it's just one of those where there's no manual for for being a parent. You do what you can, but at the same time too, I'm always learning. I'm always sort of figuring out, okay, maybe I need to say it in a different way. Maybe I even talk with especially with my grandkids. There's I love them to death, and there's things that all of them have different personalities, so I have to say something different. Like I've got the oldest one is my daughter, the oldest granddaughter, and I love her to death, and she's so smart. But there's things I have to say to her differently compared to the 3 other boys. So just being mindful of that. And
how do they feel about your entrepreneurship journey?
Oh, they love it. I mean, it's one of those where
they ask you questions.
Oh, all the time. I mean, they ask me about the podcast. They ask me, what am I drawing on? What am I creating? And so I always have to show them. I always have to, tell them stories. So that's actually sort of caused me to be more creative, like right on the dot. And so it's like, hey, look, tell us a scary story. So I have to come up with a scary story. And I've made like all these characters over the years that they've grown up with that, it's like and it's almost like an inside joke. Like if they say a certain character, like we know, but not anyone else really knows what. So it's sort of cool, like having that relationship and watching them grow up and knowing like, when they get into their teens and stuff, like we can go back and be like, hey, you remember this little character, and they know. And so I think just like little memories like that, and creating experiences like that. That's something.
Do you think you've inspired them to also maybe try entrepreneurship or some direction?
Yeah, I know one of them wants to be in video games. One, I think he's trying to be he's wanting to do like want to be like a fashion designer, wanting to get into shoes and stuff. So he called me and asked me about some things. I'm like, well, if you're serious about it, I mean, like I said, we can get a sketchbook, work on some things. And then the oldest girl, she's really creative. She's one of those where she's really creative, and at the same time she can be lazy. And I'm trying to develop that sort of routine to get her to, hey, let's start drawing stuff and making stuff. But when she'll show me some of her pictures, and I'm like, wow. I mean, it's like you just have to keep nurturing it. I was blessed to where, I just kept going. My mom and my uncle was pretty much like my first art teachers, and we were already making stuff. I was probably like in probably like second or third grade. I was already like drawing.
Kind of born into that.
Almost. So it's just one of those where what happens is that a lot of people stop, and especially when you don't know there's other avenues to use your creativity. I was just one of those where I was in a fortunate position to where I kept going. Like I went through art. I was in advanced art in high school, went to college, and then made the transition towards graphic design. But I've never stopped. And I think that's what happens with a lot of people is they, for whatever reason, they just have to give up on a portion, maybe a dream or maybe something that they know that they can do. And for whatever reason, they give up on it. There's no judgment on that, but just knowing that, some people just didn't. You just don't stop. And
I think sometimes the outside influences, whether it's another family member that doesn't agree, unfortunately, or, friends or some society, norm that tells us, let's get a college degree of this particular kind, go on to this job, and, kind of just a roadmap. But for me, I was kind of in that roadmap of my parents wanted me to get a college degree, any kind of job that I would excel in, but they didn't really open the doors for entrepreneurship. It wasn't a talked about thing. Although they were entrepreneurs themselves, I found that interesting. Like they didn't want something to they want to protect me from the possibilities of it not working out. But I've actually always gone against that and wanted to be different. And I think, hey, I went a lot of years working for other companies and I wasn't happy. And now I feel like coming, to this present day, it's because I wasn't living my passion. I was living somebody else's dream, like they say. And that's the truth. I really was, I don't see it any other way. And now here I am. And I do feel like a leader sometimes to some of the newer entrepreneurs that I meet and some of my clients and prospects that they also ask me, what inspires you to keep going, and how do you get over that first kind of hump? And I tell them it is a lot of mindset work for sure. Like I say, mindset is everything, but also really fulfilling your passion, following that dream that you may not think is possible. Why not? It's never impossible. It's never too late. So keep on going. And usually that's the path you need to go. Until you try, you'll never know.
I'm actually reading a interesting book right now called I think it's called The War of Art, I believe. And someone, one of my friends gifted the book to me, and I've been reading it, and it's awesome. I mean, it's geared towards creators, and it talks about all kinds. It talks about the concept of resistance and the resistance that we put on ourselves. That's always there. Sometimes we feel like maybe we have a certain dream or something. Maybe we want to create a book or maybe write music or painting or anything like that. And we have that little friend called resistance that sits there and tells us, hey, look, maybe let's chill out for a minute, or no, you don't have to do that right now. You got tomorrow. and that tomorrow turns into 5 months, and that 5 months turns into a year. And sometimes then that could be the biggest regret, is not knowing that, like, man, what if I had a chance? Like, what if I just went after it? And I think a lot of people tend to look in the you know, in the situation, I guess, in the scenario, like, what if it don't work? And you've got to switch it. I mean, you have to tell yourself, like what, like, literally, what if this works? Like, what if, like, what if I could, create, photography, and I've got just all kinds of people, buying it, or maybe paintings or books, or maybe I could start this business and work specifically with people that I would love to work with, and have fun with it, and have the freedom and flexibility to do, what I want to in life. Those things are possible. And I think, and what it talks about in that book, is that resistance will tell you, or will lie to you, or put you in certain scenarios to force you to feel like you're not good enough to do that, or maybe it's too scary. Maybe you need to, I don't think you can do that. It's too scary. It's too big of a dream.
Have you felt resistance? And I mean, or can you explain a short example? How you?
Oh yeah, yeah, all the time.
Recently or in the past.
Yeah, I know. Even with the really with the book, it's one of those where, like, man, like, am I really good enough to, like, publish this book, or, like, am I really an author? It's just one of those to where, like, that I've told myself, I've written down in my planner, like, look, I'm gonna write 2 pages a day, and something else sort of pops up. I've got my list of client work, I've got other things that I do, and I know I have time to do it. And for whatever reason, like, I'll sit there and, like, oh, let's check my email real quick, or let's do this, instead of just sitting down and it's like, okay, just write. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just write it, and then see where it goes. I've really been battling with that, and it's really, that book has really been resonating with me, because
I haven't heard of it. I want to check it out.
Yeah, I'll show you the book after after this show. But yeah, it's just one of those where it's like, wow. I mean, and it applies to love, life, your creative pursuits, just how resistance affects us, and how those things, the things that we say to ourselves, maybe, like, we're not good enough, or maybe the very thing that scares us, that's the thing you need to be pursuing right now. That's the thing that's literally going to set you free.
100%.
And sometimes we just get, we would rather be comfortable in our misery than to go after the thing that's going to free us. And that's I think that is the situation right now. And it is forcing me to be like, you know what, do I love the fantasy of creating this book, or do I really want to create this book? And I think the fear of it, I think about it all the time, and it's just one of those where, like, I really want this book to come out, because I feel like there's so many things that I could do with this. So it's forced me to be like, look, if you really want to do it, you're gonna have to sit down and make the time. Well, all of us got time. I have to make the time to sit down and write those pages. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm forcing myself to do, until I get used to that resistance being my friend. Like, you know what? I know you're there. I'm gonna keep doing this anyway.
I think we all experience that at some point.
Oh yeah.
It's just sometimes we're blind, right? We just don't.
Yeah.
We can't interpret why. We just keep asking ourselves why, and maybe not have an answer on why you're afraid of whatever it is that's in your way, or resisting it. For me, I could think of a couple of things. I'm not the greatest fan of public speaking. Okay. But I mean, even though I'm in marketing, I'm online, social media, you would think, like, I have all the confidence in the world, but that's not always the case. I think maybe in the teen years, it developed, but now in several occasions, I've actually gone out of my comfort zone, and I've set a goal for myself to overcome that fear. One of them being my podcast.
Yeah.
Because it's a very storytelling, maybe I'm not on video all the time like this show, but it's still, I really have to speak my truth and my story and just interview people as well. Another case is a workshop. Last year I was involved in an Oceanside Chamber workshop, and that was my first workshop with quite a few professionals. And I was nervous. I haven't done a presentation like that in years.
Yeah.
It wasn't just second nature to me. So I did a lot of preparation, and what I learned from that is I did overcome a fear, or part of my fear, day by day. And I really gained benefit from it. I was more authentic. People start to notice what I do, in my profession. And also I got a client from it. So I was able to really speak.
Yeah, that's always
volumes.
a plus.
Yes.
That's always a plus.
And I wasn't expecting that. I was like, oh, we'll see how it goes, go with the flow.
Yeah.
But in the end, it was worth it to get out of my comfort zone and really conquer that resistance, that fear. And I'm just working on that every day by trying to see what new area can I get into the public speaking. Is it a podcast? Is it what opportunity will be there next or can I create?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Even with the show, I would love to get into some speaking engagements and other opportunities to where I can get on a platform to sort of share my voice and my message. It's sort of cool because I do some coaching on the side and I actually use a lot of my classes as like almost like the experiment for a lot of these episodes and shows. So like it helps me to practice, like speaking there. And a lot of times it'll be certain concepts that I get from them. Like, oh, I like this. I think I'm just going to develop this into, like, I may develop it into a design or develop it into a show or something like that. So it's sort of cool that I get the opportunity to use that as my little petri dish of creativity there.
Do they give you feedback, like constructive criticism that you kind of take with you?
No. A lot of times they love it.
Yeah.
It's one of a lot of them are from a military background or just different backgrounds and a lot of times they come up to me and like, man, I love it. I've had people come up to me and like, hey, look, I'm glad you said this. I just got finished with a divorce and I needed to hear this. I'm glad you were here to, and it's one of those where it could be easy for me, like, not to say that, or maybe feel like, maybe I shouldn't speak today, or maybe I shouldn't do this, or I'm not feeling good. Maybe I shouldn't, say those words. But I've learned to get my emotion out of the way. And if you've got if you've got the capacity, or you're a messenger for creativity, like me, like you, like all the other people that I connect with, you have a responsibility to share your gifts, despite what your emotions or what you may feel like. You create, you share, you inspire. Aside from the fact you may or may not have a good or bad day, you may make the day for someone else. So
I agree.
That's something to where, like, I've sort of made it a factor. Whatever happens today, you wake up and like, okay, it's a new day. Let's reset, new day. Let's what's our assignment? What do we need to create today? What do we need to share? How can I help someone else? How can I help, shift someone else's perception? How could I create more value for my client? All those things, are always sort of, circling around in my brain. How can I be a better husband? How could I be a better father? How could I just be mindful? Sometimes my job isn't to give someone an answer. Sometimes my job is just to listen. And I know I've learned that with my wife is sometimes, like, I used to be like, okay, well, maybe you should do this. No, sometimes she don't want to answer. Sometimes I've learned, hey, can I walk up and just tell her I love her and give her a hug? My job isn't to give her the answer every time.
That's true.
And that's something that I've learned over the years. I used to be like, well, look, this is what you need to do. No, stop. I love you. I'm just giving you a hug.
I think
I'm here.
sometimes people need the reminder, you know?
Yeah.
And like for me, a lot of what I do too, showing up online, and really doing some personal branding, you know, for my own company is that I have to show up and I show up with confidence.
Yeah.
And like to what you said, doesn't mean I'm always having a good day, but
Yeah.
I show up, you know, because I know people are watching. I know my ideal clients look up to me and, you know, even my current clients. And everybody has bad days.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's perfectly normal, to not be, you know, 100% every day and show that. But also just communicating that, to, whether it's to your clients, to your family, friends, and letting them know, like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm not at my best, but I'm here and just I'm working through something. Being honest, you know, honest with yourself and honest with others around you is very important.
Mm-hmm.
But confidence.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, right now, I mean, what is inspiring you right now?
Well, I feel like since the beginning of this year, I've been really inspired to continue on the personal branding journey,
Mm-hmm.
and now really offer that as one of my core services for my clients. And I think I do it differently than other people because, you know, I'm not a graphic designer, but I provide a lot of strategy. So for the personal branding side, it would be the strategy on how to really build their brand. You know, if they don't have anything, any assets,
Mm-hmm.
how do they build these assets? You know, how do they become valuable to their audience? You know, with whether it's you know, a digital tool, right? Like a guide that is created,
Mm-hmm.
which is marketing, a marketing asset as well. But really getting down to their purpose, you know, their core mission, their values, and making that shine. Because really that's, you know, that's the core of personal branding, is making yourself shine.
Yep, that's truth.
Mm-hmm.
Creative tips. What
Yeah.
is a creative tip or tips that you can provide our audience?
So I did think about this one because I feel like, you know, I could go on probably a lengthy sentence here, but I would say build your creative action plan,
I like that.
right? And it's not just pertaining to creativity. Now, I think it's an overall, you know, advice that you can be creative even if you're not a creative,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you can have a plan and believe in that plan, make it real, you know, make those action steps and keep going. You know, you don't have to have the creativity to really be successful as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner. You could find ways to learn how to be more creative or learn to really grow with self-development. So you can find that all by creating that creative action plan.
Oh, that's cool. Is that something you offer your clients?
In a way, yeah.
Okay. All right. I've
But
actually
I
been trying to
don't-
work on my action plan.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I
we
do.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is a real thing, but you know, I call it a little differently.
Yeah.
More marketing strategy plan. But yeah, I definitely offer services that cater to that.
Cool.
But, yeah.
Good deal. So right now, before we sign off, what are some words of wisdom that you can provide our audience? Is there something, you know, maybe someone listens to this in the next few weeks or maybe a year from now and someone happens to find you and then they find this episode, you know, what is just some those words of wisdom that you can give?
I would say don't be afraid of being your true self. You know, dig deeper, like we talked about earlier, and do it with confidence. Even if you're afraid, show up for yourself because you don't want to regret not showing up for yourself and hiding behind, you know, the mystery of what if. You really want to show up for yourself first.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then lastly, are there any potential projects that you're brewing on? Anything that you got coming down the pipe?
There's a few, but definitely the quarterly business workshops.
Okay.
So this year I would like to really host them under my company, Social Marketing Boutique, but also co-host and do some, you know, have some guest speakers, really providing value in the categories of marketing strategy, personal branding, and even just branding
Yeah.
design. So I really want to focus in and serve the community with these resources because they're so valuable. Those 3 topics are extremely valuable
Yeah.
to learn about and to get updated on.
Yeah.
So that's
great.
pretty much my bigger one. And then the personal branding strategy as like more of a project oriented service. But really dive deep into the strategy with questionnaires, and I have a lot more info coming, but be on the lookout. It's going to be a really interesting take because I am a content creator and that's my main bread and butter for my clients. I absolutely love it. I wouldn't do anything else. Like that's where my zone of genius is. I've definitely found that to come.
That's great.
Yeah.
So how can people reach out to you to maybe book a initial meeting? Maybe they're looking to find someone for their specifically for their social media marketing and maybe consultations or maybe even setting up a workshop. How can people reach out with you?
So my website would be the best place. That would be marketingserviceboutique.com. And also on Instagram, I'm Creative Marketing Consultant.
Okay.
So you can find me there. I am on Instagram primarily, but also LinkedIn. I do get on there a lot of the time for some other clients. And that would just be my name, Jaqueline Farkas.
All right, cool. Well, awesome. Hey, this has been another great episode. It was such a delight to have Jaqueline on here. This has been an awesome interview, and really getting to hear her story, and really highlighting her business. So, if you get a chance to check this out, this will be on all of our podcast platforms. Video will be up on our YouTube and Facebook pages for the Creative Brew. And then you'll see snippets on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. So you'll see them all over the place. Been a great episode with me, your show host, Quantel, with Jaqueline. And this is the Creative Brew. Be creative, stay inspired.